And this, my friends, is how you do not start a podcast. So, pardon the technical difficulties here. Again, I'll try. Welcome to Live with Jill and Frank. Unfortunately, tonight, once again, we're having a Frank edition. So, you'll have to do. It's just me tonight. So, that being said, I had a discussion today with a person on Facebook, and it brought about a particular topic that I thought was. Give me a second. I'm trying to fix my audio here. I hope you guys can hear me good. But it brought about a topic that was interesting. She was a person. She was asking for a reading or whatever, and what happened, I mentioned, like, I was getting the impression that she was a fire sign, if you will, if you believe in astrology and that kind of stuff. I do, uh, in certain settings. Like, I don't believe in your daily horoscope type thing, but I believe in using astrology in order to guide yourself. Anyways, all that to say, um, so I told her, I said, well, because you're a fire sign, you would have to go a certain way on your spiritual journey, which is more active. Because somebody was saying, oh, try meditation, try this, try that. But I could tell, like, she was a very active person, very. And so I said, well, look, here's what. There's also, the chance that you may look into martial arts, which, if you have the right dojo and the right masters, is a spiritual practice in itself. And so that brought me to talking about the elements, right? Like, what do they mean when they talk about the element earth, fire, water, air? Like, what's the deal? What is that all about? I mean, okay, so scientists will tell us, we know we have way more elements than this. We have a full table of elements that we can show you. We have their weight, their shape, their whatever, right? And it's like, yes, but you're just using a different language. Like, you're using, the word does not have the same meaning to you as it did to the people that came up with those four elements. And so those four elements, what are they, and how do we work with them, and why do we care? The elements are, number one, let's start with astrology, right? You have the four elements and the four different signs. Like, let's say Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius would be fire signs, right? And then, say, Taurus, I'm gonna get confused here, so Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn would be earth signs, right? So on and so forth. Now, um what does that actually mean, right? Like, when you meet a person, when you meet an Aries, let's say, typically that person will be a high energy person. They will have that fire energy, right? Even as I say this, if you've never in your life worked with astrology, worked with the elements, you kind of go, yeah, I get what you mean. Like, they have that fire thing going. Air people, it's more of a communication in its worst aspects. It can be conniving. It can be, they're creative. They work with the mind a lot. Earth signs, we will be the more earthly bound sign, right? Will be more industrious, will be the person you can rely on, in terms of, we show up, and if we say we're going to do something, we do it. I mean, those are general traits. Again, like, you can't split the population into four and say, hey, here's how it goes. But here's the thing: in their pure form, each of those elements, oh, and water would be the very deep emotional one. The people that look within more, the people, a lot of times you'll find the introverts in watery signs. Anyways, so those elements, those characteristics that they have, right from the start, those are what the ancients were working with when they were working with those elements. They weren't trying to do chemistry. They were trying to understand the world in terms of its nature, its energies. They were like, look, there's anger, but there's also storms. And anger and storms, they seem very similar. And so, in that respect, they were mapping themselves by looking at the world, and they were mapping the world by looking at themselves as well. And so, that sort of interaction between them and the world was already fairly understood at that point. Uh, they weren't, like, yeah, science will have you believe that, oh, they were dumb. They had four elements. We know we have so many more. And it's like, yeah, okay, but that's not what they were talking about. Now, here's something fun you can do with each element. You can try and do for, say, a week each element or something. Go and try to find in nature, find everywhere that something that really pertains to that element. Say you want to work with earth, go in a park, go in the woods, go and try to walk barefoot if you can. Try to, like, wear a skirt and sit right on the grass so that you can feel the earth. Go hug a tree. I mean, it sounds dumb, but actually hugging a tree does have a grounding effect. It does actually do something to you. Go and so infuse yourself with everything that has to do with earth. And then during that week, if you meditate, if you want any time of day, try to spend time reflecting on the nature of earth, right? What does it mean? What is earth? Earth is heavy. Earth is it is strong, right? You can't move it easily. You can't you can't destroy it. You can't burn it easily. You can't, like, it is a very hard thing to destroy physically, right? What is air? Air moves fast. Air is very hard to catch. You can't really catch air. Air carries all kinds of stuff, right? Air carries, it can carry viruses. It can carry, like flowers, like the pollen. Air is it can be a storm. Air can be like super powerful. It can sculpt over time. Air is able to sculpt mountains and sculpt the side of hills, right? And so all that, and the element of air in terms of what it means to us. Now, the element of air will usually be uh, equated with our intellect, right? Like, it's the communication, it's lawyers type stuff, doctors, like education falls in the element of air. Everything which is communication and the intellect will really fall there. Now, fire is the emotional, but the emotional, like, not the deep quiet emotional, the emotional, uh our emotional response, like at our gut feeling, like our rage, our and it doesn't have to be rage, it can be love, but I mean, it's our active energy. It is a very, very if we don't keep it in check, like, it can burn everything in its way, right? My daughter is a fire sign, and I tell her all the time, I say, hey, you got to be careful. That little fire, it can either be a campfire that everybody comes to warm themselves, but it can also be a forest fire that everybody runs away from, because that is their nature. That's the nature of the fire signs. um, and so now I'm not going to tell you light yourself on fire in order to get yourself attuned to the element of fire. But here's what you can: light a candle, meditate by staring into the fire, staring into the candle, and really looking into it. And there's something when you look into a candle, there's a light, there's a heat that comes out of it. It is very blinding. It is almost like comparable to the sun, really. If you're in darkness looking at a lit candle, it really has that, where's that light coming from? So use it as a meditation tool and then focus on the warmth. Focus, you can still feel it excessively warm because you know it's fire, and we have that ability as humans. And so, really, again, for that week, focus on fire. Now, don't be surprised when you're doing those exercises. If you do them for a full week and you immerse yourself in them, the more you do it immersed, what's going to happen is for that particular week, your week might go a little weird. Like, say you're doing the earth energy. Well, that week, you might find it tough to go to work, to get up, and because you know what? You'll be grounded, but to an extreme, right? Now, if you're doing the fire energy, well, yeah, careful. You might get in arguments with people. You'll be very volatile, quite possibly. Air, it's going to be a volatile, but it's going to be a very different volatile. You may be sharp tongued. You may be, you might be very direct and very yeah, sharp with people. Is one of there could be many. You can think of some too. Like, if you'd like to leave comments, guys, do that. Leave comments, chat right now if you want. um like, we really like having conversations with you guys, hearing what you think about stuff, so let us know about that. And so now we've done air, fire, earth, and water. Now, water is going to be the deeper emotion, the mother feeling, you know what I mean, like the emotions that come from within, almost like the intuition type stuff. Like, it is our deeper self. It is who we are at a level that it's like almost our subconscious, if you will. Like, water is a very calming energy. It is a very deep feeling, self-reflecting. It is self-reflecting is what's sticking to me right now, as I'm trying to describe it. But it's very flowing. It does not concern itself with the same things as all other elements. Like, it has that purity. It has that ever flow state. You can't really grab it. You can't really, say, hey, and such as our deepest emotions, right? Like, our deepest parts are not something that we easily access. And so this is what water represents. Now, for water, of course, you can go either, if you're able to go in a small stream or something, or in a lake, whatever. I mean, that is perfect, right? But if not, you can go in your bath, and your bath will be good enough. You know what I mean? Like, you just go, let the water flow. And also, if you do it in a bath, the fun part is when you let the water drain, um, you can let the water take away all of your worries. And you can imagine that water just sort of like draining everything away, and feel refreshed and purified when the water is gone. But feel that energy, feel that deep, purified you, in a sense, if you will. And so that's the four elements in a gist. They are very powerful tools to meditate on, right? So if you start, like I say, like, you can do a week each element. Like, if you do that, that is very strong. And every night when you meditate, every morning, whichever it is. um, Now, I'm making a lot of assumptions here. If you don't meditate, if you don't do any practice whatsoever, I would recommend not starting with these. Maybe start with meditating, start with more basic practices. Now, feel free to contact me. I coach people. If you only need like a little pointer on something, if you need whatever, like, feel free to contact me. That's fine. um, Contact me here, contact me on Boundless Mind, either on Facebook, either on YouTube. But definitely, like, don't Don't stay stagnant with those things. Don't like if you're having a hard time and you need sense of direction, whatever, like find yourself somebody. Doesn't have to be me, but find yourself somebody. I mean, invest in yourself. It's definitely worth the time, worth the money, whatever you do. You are important to spend time and energy and money on, is all I'm saying. And so that's about all I have on the four elements tonight. So let's see what other topics I can come up with here. I pulled out my usual chat GPT and asked it to give me some nice little topics. How about cultivating inner peace? Uh, yes, but okay. You know what? I'm while I have the stage, I'm gonna go with one that Jill and I don't always argue. We don't always agree on that one, and so I'm gonna give you my take on it, and she may later decide that she'll do a thing about it, or it might come up again. But it is the importance for me. It's the importance of not only learning about spirituality, but having a daily practice, right? Like it. I'm not telling you should have a daily practice and be perfect at it. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you should strive to have something you do daily in order to advance spiritually. And I believe it should be, if at all possible, very few things, like a single thing, even. Like if it's, let's say, meditation, right? Like I always tell people, if you're starting, maybe don't start with meditation, start with relaxation. Learn to just breathe slowly, relax your body. There's a bunch of relaxation techniques. If you're on Boundless Mind on YouTube right now, or if you want to go there, I have a video that gives a very, very easy technique for relaxation. I also have one for meditation. I teach the fourfold breathing meditation, and it's a very, very effective one. It does multiple things. It allows you to connect into the cyclic nature of the universe, as well as help you breathe better, which in turn helps all kinds of stuff. It helps your blood pressure, it helps your blood circulation, it helps you think better, it helps you, like, everything about breathing better is incredible. So, that is a practice that I recommend, but you can have a different one, right? Like what I'm trying to avoid people doing is I've seen people, they've read 500 books on all kinds of spiritual stuff. And from an intellectual standpoint, they can talk about it all day. But you can kind of tell that something is missing because it's not practiced. It's not something that they felt, it's something they read. Um, when you start practicing, right, each of those hundreds of books said, hey, try this. Here's a technique that will get you there. Why, after reading 100 books, has that person not practiced a single one of the techniques in those books? Um, I mean, I can tell you why, right? We could have a whole discussion on why. It's because of resistance. It's because we're actually built to resist it in a sense. But yeah, at some point you got to come around to it, though. You know, it's just. But yeah, so you have to practice. You absolutely have to find something, and at first it'll be hell. Here's what: when I started, I made it my point when I started to reach 6 months of meditation, of managing to do, I think it was a half hour I had to. I said, I have to manage to do 6 months of half-hour meditation per day. When I have managed to do that, I will be able to say there's no benefits in meditation, or there's a benefit to meditation. It took me about 10 years before I got 6 months in a row where I did a half hour of meditation. But here's the deal: when I was trying to get there, I meditated a lot and I learned to meditate real well. And by the time I did those 6 months, I was doing meditation, I was doing some rituals, I was doing a whole plethora of things in the morning and at night, actually, for a while even. Uh, but I had learned, like I had gotten there one step at a time, one failure at a time. I had tried and, done my rituals. Like my rituals, it is hilarious, right? Because we do, like I do stuff like call God names in each corners, and it's a little more intricate. There's things to remember, whatever. So I would do it and call the wrong name in the wrong place at the wrong time, and but you know what? That's how it works. Whatever it is you do, meditation, ritual, whatever it is, like fail at it, fail miserably, fail many times, because that's how you're going to get good at it. Because one day you won't fail no more. You'll be doing it and you'll be like, wow. And not only will you not fail, but all of a sudden, new regions of your psyche will open. And that is something that can't be explained. When you rewire your brain to think a different way, all of a sudden something happens and boom, you're there. You kind of just go, wow, I get this. But you don't get it from the same way you did before. You get it in a new way because you've now integrated something in yourself. So you live it. You don't just believe it, you don't just know it. Well, you know it, but that's the thing. You deeply know it. You know it in your core. Um, Speaking of that core, what does that mean? Knowing it in your core, right? Does that mean anything? How about we talk about intuition a little bit, right? Because that's another one people struggle with, right? People come in, they go, what should I practice? I say meditation, but see what fits for you. Um, but meditation is a good place to start. Uh, you know what, you guys? There's something I wanted to talk about more than that. Um, See, it's a topic I saw that the other day, and it said love and spirituality, and that kind of like I it freaked me out to think that that would need to be explained in a way, and I don't know why. I mean, it's that's very uh, assumptive of me or something to think that everybody would get something, but to me, immediately, if you say spirituality, you're immediately saying love. But I guess that's not always true. Not everywhere, not with everyone. Uh, but yeah, it puzzled me because at the center of my spirituality, at the center of what I believe, at the center of what I teach is love. That is the one center theme out of everything. I believe truly, and I don't know how to communicate it to people. Um, but I like it's not that I believe. I know because I go through it every day. If you give the world love, it will love you back. Now you'll have challenges. You'll have all kinds of stupid, weird stuff happen anyways, because that's just how life works. However, you'll go through all those same things with love in your heart and receiving love from others and receiving love from the world. When I say, you guys, the world is a mirror, I actually mean that in the most practical, black and white way that you can imagine. If you give the world love, it will give it back to you. But here's a big caveat: if you have not been living that way, then more than likely what you have surrounded yourself with will not be compatible with it. And so, at first, you'll get the impression that if you attempt loving everybody and if you attempt forgiving people and having kindness and compassion, people will start taking advantage of you. People will start, like trying to get an angle on you and stuff, right? And the problem is, you're not wrong, because that's still the world you're living in. And so there's going to be a transition. And while that transition happens, it feels like the carpet is being pulled from under your feet, because you now do not recognize the world for a while. And this is any big change you're going to do, right? But after that change, now the world is ready to mirror what you've become, and the new people that will come into your life will be willing to love you because you now offer love yourself, right? And everything else about life, people ask, like, I mean, whether you believe in it or in God, or whether you don't believe in God, like, to me, that has no relevancy to any of these things. uh what I think we're discussing here are not, see, whether I believe or not in gravity, I'm still going to fall if I let myself fall. That's just how it is. So whether I believe in not in spiritual laws, they remain spiritual laws. It doesn't matter. So believe in it, don't believe in it, whatever. Um, you know, but it's but it's going to give you messages. It's going to give you, everybody says, okay, that's why I was bringing up God. Everybody says, I want to see signs from God, right? Everything in your life is a sign, because everything in your life is your own creation. And so, in that respect, yes, it's all, it's because it comes down to you're part of everything and everything is part of you. Uh, that is, and that is what love allows you to see. Because once you love the world truly, like, if you want to learn to love the world, here's what, like, simple tools. Start writing a gratitude book. It sounds dumb, but each day write three. If three is easy, write five, whatever. But write a certain amount of things each day that you're grateful for. At first, it used to take me forever just to come up with the three. Now I can tell you that I'm grateful for you guys to be here. I'm grateful that my kids had a wonderful time tonight at the barbecue that we went to. I'm grateful that I have these lights that are lighting me while I'm talking to you. I'm grateful that I have food in my cupboard. I'm grateful that I have wonderful children to begin with. You see what I mean? Like, because as you train yourself to recognize the things that are good in your life, you'll be able to come up with more and more and more. And what that does is it transforms your life, because you now recognize the things around you in a grateful, welcoming way. Now, that's huge, because the same things can look like a horrible monster to someone and a gift from God to the another person, and we're talking about the same item. um if you pay attention truly to how people interact with their environment and with others and with their world and with themselves, you will start to see those things. You will start to notice patterns, and those are the patterns that will make you notice. Like, I have a sentence that I use. People don't understand it, but it literally means what it means. people will say like, well, Frank, aren't you afraid of doing this, or aren't you, are you not, there's something they won't want to do, or, and they're absolutely right. It probably wouldn't work for them, right? But then sometimes they'll say, well, Frank, how can you do this? And I'll go, oh, it's because I don't have the same relationship with my universe than you do. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, you don't have to get it, but that's exactly what it is. It's because they don't allow for something to work in their life, whereas I allow it. And so the same event will be played in two very different ways by both of us. Now, I'm not saying I'm good at all of that. There are things that I refuse in my own life. There are things that I don't see. And this is the magic behind it. If you're willing to look at yourself, you will reach every level of your life and discover new things and be like, holy, for God's sake, I thought I knew myself by now. Because I mean, you've discovered yourself like, six times, and you're going like, wow, okay, so yeah, I know myself pretty good now here. Like, I've got a good grip on this. And next thing you know, you discover something else about yourself, and you're like, really, I do that? Have I been doing that the whole time? Really, to people? Or, what I mean? And you're like, baffled to finding out that you've been, I mean, whatever it is, right? Possibly for some of us, sometimes it's you've been an asshole your whole life, and you're going like, holy moly, did I really do this to people? Like, did I? Yeah. But it's okay, right? You discover it, then you get through it, then you forgive yourself, because that's the second key: gratefulness, and then forgiveness. And you have to forgive even the most nefarious people in your life. Now, I am not telling you to excuse those people. I am not telling you that what they did was right, whatever it was. What I am saying is that you have to release yourself of the emotional reaction you have to those events. And that's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is for yourself, not for them. They continue to be an a-hole after, right? But they're a forgiven a-hole, right? You come across them, you still don't interact with them. You still, like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing's changed there. But what has changed is that you don't carry them with you anymore. And I've had quite a few of those to go through myself, and they can be very painful to reopen. However, it's very freeing as well. So, you know, those are all parts of the things that we have to do on the spiritual path. It's looking at yourself, discovering who you are, your own role in your universe, and how you are the one that influences your life, and how you're doing it, and why, and what are your true motivation. And then you find out, like, look, how many people are trying to get rich but have a crappy relationship with money, right? And everybody keeps on telling me, you'll never, telling them, wow, that was a Freudian slip. I have a bad relationship with money sometimes, so that definitely was. But people keep on telling us, how to do it differently or what, and they're refusing it, and it's always about your relationship with the world. And it can be difficult. I mean, believe you me, I have a very different brain than a lot of people. Like, I'm not neurotypical, and so yeah, I have challenges where I'm like, what, really? No, I can't do things this way. Like, that's ridiculous. But that's how people do them, and so it's a collection of choices that we make. That's what life is. It's simply a collection of choices, and every time we face a new one, we're always wondering, like, I see a lot of people and they wonder, what's the right choice? The one you make. The one you didn't make, that was the wrong choice. The one you made, whether it gave you a failure or it gave you a success, that was still the right decision, because you stood there, you made the best decision you could with the best you had, and you went forward. And whether you face planted or whether you made it, both things are good. because face planting a bunch of times will get you to successes, right? That's just how life works. And so that's a little bit of coaching for you guys. That's what it is getting through the hurdles, finding the opportunities, recognizing them, whether it's on your spiritual path, on your because don't you have to be mindful with spirituality. Some people will use it to escape. Moment of suspense. um, and so you have to, somebody told me when I was younger, and at that point I was living on the streets, panhandling, so bumming for change in the subway. So very different life at the time, in my early 20s, if I recall. And actually, maybe not even late teens, possibly 19. But this lady stopped and talked to me for a little while, and we talked about spirituality, and I had, big things to say, whatever. And at the end, she said to me, she said, all the things you're saying, they're all really true. She said, but here's the thing: you cannot master spirituality until you've mastered the actual world you live in. Until then, what you're trying to do is escape that world. And I can't say that applies to everybody, but it certainly applied to me. Right. And I was, yes, sometimes using, it to try to escape reality, not to try to join reality. And yet, spirituality, once you start looking at it the right way, it actually, um, your life is immersed in it, right? But you do have to get yourself in a good physical. If you're starving on a street corner, guess what? You're not having the kind of life that allows you to easily. I mean, you can have a spiritual life. Don't get me wrong. That is not to say that you can't, but there's a part that's missing. You have to make your physical life, you have to first master your physical life. Then you go master the other realms. And so that was the point she made. And that point stayed with me. And it actually carried me far. Because up until then, up until later, I was not going to accomplish much in life. But when later came, that sentence resonated in that little box of mine, and it came back haunting me. And I said, I'm going to do something with my life. And I went and became general manager. I went and became project manager for a company, estimator, whatever. I got all these jobs, all this, whatever. I was doing fine. Everything was good. And I said, okay, great. Now I did it. And then I started my own thing, and now I kind of control my hours and my income, and how much free time I want. And, you know, this is kind of the way I wanted it in the end. But yeah, I had to really focus on that for a while. And once I was able to get a handle on that, she was right. My spiritual life changed. It started improving because now what I had done is, in a concrete manner, start upgrading myself, start making myself better, right? Because I had acknowledged at that point that something about me could be made better because things were not working. I mean, at the time, I was a drug addict. I was like broken, whatever. When that happened, like, I had lived like a very rough life. We'll get into that some other times, but so yes, I went on to mastering that part. And when I did, when I became able to support myself all the time, able to, to really thrive in life a little bit, uh, yeah, things changed. Then I was able to focus on myself. I was able to see what I was actually bringing to the world, what I was bringing to others. And this is part of it. This is part of what I've always wanted to do. And I hope it helps anyone, because that's the whole idea here is that I came from a really, really struggling position, and I made it to a place where I feel joy in my heart every day, regardless how many struggles I go through. And I really want to bring this to others because I believe every human being I think everybody deserves to feel that way. Everybody deserves to feel a way where they are confident, where whatever life brings at them, they can say, you know what, whatever, like, okay, I'm good for it. You know what I mean? If tomorrow morning there was an earthquake, my house was engulfed and whatever, yeah, it would be hard. Of course, it would be hard. But I know I would make it through, and I know I would be okay. And I know, there's a sense of security that comes with acceptance, right? I said gratitude, I said forgiveness. Here's a third very important thing that I think we need to talk about is acceptance, right? As long as we try to refuse the world the way it is, when somebody does something that we hate, we need to understand that we do not control what they do. We control how we react to it. We control whether we allow them in our lives. We control a million things, but we can't control what they think, what they do, and yet we try. And we try so much, and most people, as they try, are not even aware that they're doing it. They'll try to control every little thing and be like, oh, but if this person did that, then things would be okay. No, then things would be messed up for a different reason, because guess what? You're mirroring. That's what the world does. It mirrors what you send it. You know what? Here's what. Anybody who is not an angry person, like if you've got anger issues, then this is probably going to mean nothing to you. But if you don't have anger issues, if you go near a person with anger, you feel that happening. You feel the anger. You feel the. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but yeah, it's something. It's noticeable. Anyways, all right, guys. You know what? I've been going for 43 minutes, 44 minutes. I was not expecting to do a show on my own tonight. I mean, I'm having fun, and I had a good show still. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope anything I said was useful to anyone. Let me know in the comments. Please keep coming back. Jill should be with us, I assume, next week. I have to talk to her, but you know, it's okay. And so, I thank you guys for joining, and I hope we can see you on the next one. Enjoy your evening, and lots of love to you all.